Hello, Year 8. Lovely to talk to you again. All right, I'm going to stay on here for a while and hopefully it works. So, title is cost of electricity, and I want you to describe the factors that affect the cost of using electrical appliances. How do you calculate, explain how you're going to calculate how energy is transferred, and also describe how to calculate the cost of using an appliance. So, effectively, like how much does it cost to run your fridge all year? How much does it cost to have a TV on? How much does it cost to have your laptop on and charging and things like that? Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. It's very important because it is literally it's a massive thing. It was sort of previous about two governments ago, maybe even before, where people started to really understand their bills because it allowed them to actually understand where they were spending their money and could they make savings. Um, so interesting thing here. I want you to look at what bills are and what we can sort of what you can learn from them and how you can calculate them, and even maybe have a go at calculating some of your parents' bills. Right, let's get into it. So I got bills. When you look at a electricity bill, what is it that you need to understand? I have to admit it's pretty tricky at times, mainly because what I find is uh, sometimes what I would add up doesn't often equate to what they get, especially. But with things like smart meters and other bits and pieces, especially apps and things that tell you what's going on, they do make it a lot easier for you, which is really nice. So if you ever, like I say, if you're ever more interested, maybe see if a parent will let you have a look at their bill or look at your smart meter, see what it is that it's telling you and what that means and how they're calculating it. Will also allow you to potentially have a look at what your if you want when you make changes, like if you're paying so much so many pence per unit of electricity, you may want to consider people that do cheaper electricity. So what you need to understand is about this bill. Pause the video and have a think about it, and we will get back to you. Cool. I said we, like there's more than one of me, and it's not the voices. I've told them to stay away. So that was a joke, by the way. So anyway, so what you have to see, you can see obviously the amount of the bill, and you can certainly see if you look around and there's a bold bit about number 3 where it says electricity you've used this period. So what you do is you give your meter reading to your parent, to the company, and they will see that they'll basically calculate the difference of the meter reading before and after. Now, I remember when I started, like, living in different houses and things, I thought, well, this is a bit silly. Why don't I just just give them less of a meter reading? And then I realised, well, when you leave the house, no matter what, whether you buy a house, buy a new house, sell houses, etc., you are responsible legally for the last bill. So if you drop like 50 units of electricity off your meter every time, whatever is the last meter reading, will actually that it'll all add up at the end, so you'll have like a mega bill at the end. So don't do that, okay? So that's what they do. So they need to know how many units you've used, and then the idea is that the units are according to are then charged at like the amount. So if you use 10 units at 13p a unit, you'll have spent £1.30. It is that simple. Okay. The other thing they do is they add on VAT. This is clearly quite an old bill. Does it say 2007? Is that, yeah, 2007? Quite an old bill when VAT was at 5%. Now at 20%. Okay, so you'll have to add your VAT on top of that. Interesting little fact, right? Just I'm an educator. This is slightly off topic. Some of you may be thinking, and your parents may be thinking about what are we going to do when it comes to sort of with coronavirus and all of that. And we've had to give lots of money to lots of people to make sure that they don't lose jobs, companies don't go out of business. They won't. I'd be very surprised. They won't raise VAT more, but what they certainly won't do is probably lower it unless they've got some very clever plan for it. So VAT is value added tax. It is basically a tax that the government gets for the fact that when you exchange goods between people. Now, there are some things like drinks are not on VAT. Drinks and biscuits, I think it is. There are lots of other things that you don't pay VAT for as well. But VAT is absolutely a thing that you need to consider. You'll see it all over the place. So, and most of the time you don't even think about it. So when you go buy a new pair of shoes, they'll say $34.99 or what have you. You don't think about the VAT on there. Americans, you'll hear them talk about sales tax because it's added at the end. We tend to add it up. It's normally trades and things that you'll hear them say with VAT, so value added tax, and that basically means you pay an extra 20% of whatever it is you're buying to the government, and they make that money. So, and it's a big thing. It makes a huge amount of money. So, interesting bit about VAT. Obviously, look it up a little bit more if you want to do so. Right, let's move on to some using electricity stuff. So, using electricity, the cost of electrical appliance depends on how much electrical energy the device uses. So, actually, more efficient appliances will use less electricity. So that's why we move to things like energy efficiency light bulbs, because the amount of energy transferred should be directly into the appliance with less loss. More loss means you're literally paying for wasted energy. All right, so old school light bulbs where they only transferred like 5% of their energy meant that you were paying 95% of for heat that you didn't need, okay, or a humming sound. You didn't need that, all right? So you were paying a lot of money that you didn't need. So just remember that when it comes to the transfer. So what you need to know is how much energy the device is using, and that's called the power. And the power is calculated by doing energy divided by time. My job for you is, can you create a formula triangle for this equation? So I've taught you, or any of your teachers should have taught you about formula triangles. Remember, speed is equal to distance divided by time, and you put that into the triangle, and you want to put your little divides in and your times and things like that. Should be able to do that. So pause the video, think about it. If you're not sure what I mean by formula triangle, do a quick search, have a look at it, and exactly what I mean. Don't look up this one, do it for yourself and see if you get it right. Okay, if you need to, do things in pencil and then rub them out for later and stuff like that. Oh, quick side note, God, you can tell I'm in teaching mode. Remember, if you run out of books for some reason, you can contact the school and they should have them in the office for you. All right, so please do go and get another book if you need one. Right. Pause the video, take only 5 minutes maximum to just create your formula triangle. If you do, then get on and come back onto the video. See you in a second. I said a second, I meant 5 minutes, obviously, up to 5 minutes. Right, so here's your formula triangle. You've got power, energy, and time. Perfect. By the way, formula triangles, you can do this with any 3 equation triangle, and possibly 4 equations if there's a times in there. When we do gravitational potential energy and kinetic energy calculations later on in this, you will see that you can make a formula triangle out of it. So, little thing. Can you now add the equation symbols to your triangle? Do you remember where they are? Take a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, as you can see, energy is divided by power. So that line in the middle there is a divide line. Also, energy is divided by time. So you should be able to, what I was told at school is if you cover the one you want to know. So say I want to know time. Time is equal to energy divided by power. If I want power, it's energy divided by time. If I want to know energy, you times the two together. Okay, so you times power and time. I'm going to use that equation a lot today. Right, so can you write the 2 equations? If you go back and listen, you'll hear that I basically told you them. So again, spend no longer than 5 minutes doing that. Write them down, put them into your notes. Okay, hopefully you're back and you can see that the equation is time is equal to energy divided by power, and power is equal to energy divided by time. That's quite a lot of information, but the idea is you have these formulae, and when you look at the questions later, at some point you will need to work them out. Now, you are doing Key Stage 3 into GCSE level work right now, stretching you. You won't get it very like super hard. The questions I've seen so far haven't asked you a lot to do things like calculating the time and stuff like that, rearranging those equations. So don't panic too much. All right, it does get tricky, but don't worry. The big things I'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, right, let's move on. So, can you explain how to calculate energy transferred? So let's go into it. One of our problems with this is we don't talk about minutes or seconds when it comes to this. We talk in hours. So we talk about our time always being in hours. That is huge. Okay, you must translate, whichever way you want to think about it, your time value into hours. So if you have 30 minutes, that's 0.5 hours. Okay, you may need to do a little calculation to get it into a decimal. All right, so don't forget that obviously it's 60 minutes into an hour. So you might want to look at that, because say you had like 37 minutes. Remember, that's not 0.37 hours, because there's 60 minutes, you need to divide them. Okay, so little thing there. Again, that would be super hard if they got you. That'd be like a 4 to 6 mark question if they asked you to do that sort of question. Okay, if it was like 37 minutes or something like that. Okay, in the real world, we don't talk about power in terms of watts. We talk about kilowatts, because the amount of power we generate is normally so high it's in kilowatts. So don't forget that 1,000 watts is a kilowatt, like a kilometre is 1,000 meters. Brilliant. So really, power is actually kilowatt hours. Okay, sorry, the energy, I apologize. Energy is kilowatt hours. All right, so I'm just going to repeat that as I said that wrong. Energy is kilowatt hours, so kilowatts times hours, kilowatt hours. Brilliant. That's what you need to know. All right, excellent. So calculating the costs. So from now on, we'll talk about power, energy, and time. We say kilowatts for power, kilowatt hours for energy, and hours for time. In theory, a kilowatt hour is a joule. That is a little bit of stretched learning. That's something that comes up later. You will not need to worry about that for now, unless you ever saw a practice question that said it has this many joules of energy, and you start going, I don't know this. Well, joule is also a kilowatt hour. That will help you. Okay, there are the equations again. Energy used is equal to power times time. So that's the big thing you're going to need to know today. In summary, all right, this is my little summary thing for you. So taken loads of notes, absorbed loads of information. According to this, we've listened to me for nearly 11 minutes. All right. The idea is I want you to be able to summarize and apply it. Right. I've talked quite quickly probably, and I want you to go away and think about it. So what I really would suggest is take a break. Like, go away, do something else for a few minutes, all right? Go talk to your parents, do something else, and see if you can sort of process that information, and then maybe make a summary of it in some way, okay? If you're a bit confused by it all, go look it up on Bitesize as well. See if you can marry up the two things that I've said and what Bitesize says. And yeah, go and tell them about it. Tell your parents, tell someone you know about what you've learned. You can put it into bullet points. What are the key points for you to do? So I suggest go away and do that. Maybe come back 5 to 20 minutes and come back and have a look at this. So go do your summary, and I will see you in a little bit. Okay, so to demonstrate the cost, how to calculate the cost of an appliance. So a couple more bits of information to get on with, and you can practice those questions. So cost of electricity. It's actually very simple. As I said, you just need to do the units times the price. Okay, so you do your kilowatt hours times by the price of the unit, and most of the time it's between 10 and 15p. You can give that answer later on in pounds as well, but as it says there in the red, so the total cost is the number of units times the price. All right, let's move on. An example there, 6 units of energy used at a price of 15p would be 6 times 15, all right, which would be 90p. That simple. Right, example 1. I have put in hard examples because I know the students at Chertsey High School are super clever. So listen to this walkthrough really carefully. In fact, the questions on show my homework to do on this are easier. I'm not going to lie. All right. So you have a 3 kilowatt heater in your room. don't forget that the kilowatts is the power. So you now know the power. You put it on at 8 a.m. and leave it on till 4 p.m. You're going to have to work out the time. So do 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. If a unit, so 1 kilowatt hour, costs 12.5p, how much would it cost to leave it on? So we need to know the energy used. So you need to work out the energy used is the power times the time. Okay, so taking you step by step through this. By the way, if I actually, let's do this. I would suggest have a go. I've told you need to know the energy used. You also need to do another thing. This question could be 3 to 4 marks on a real exam paper. So it's a beefy question, but I know you can do it. So pause the video or the slides if you need to. Have a go. Do it in pencil if you're worried about messing up your book. Do it on a piece of paper. I did this on a scrap piece of paper just to be able to plan it for you. So, we all have to process these things. Okay? So, yeah, take a minute, have a look at it, and then see if you get what I get. And if you don't, then sort of work back at what I've done. Okay? Right, pause. Okay, so coming back to this, let's see if you got it. So the energy used is equal to 3 kilowatts times 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now we can't do that, that has to be worked out as 8 hours. Okay, so really it should be 3 times 8 is equal to 24, and these are the units of energy. So now you have to work out your cost, which is the unit, so 24 units of energy times the price, and that is 24 times 12.5, which gives you 300 pence or £3. All right, that simple. Okay, so you just needed to know the units of energy times the price, but you didn't know the units of energy yet, so you had to work that out using all your equations. Now, I love that question. It's beefy, but if you can master those, you are smashing it, because that's the hardest you'll get. The only thing they ever might do is give you things in minutes, where you'll have to convert it into hours. Don't forget, it must be in hours, okay, and kilowatts and things like that. I've taught GCSE before, and that's normally the biggest thing. They'll give you like a 4-mark question, and most students get 2 because they forget to do kilowatts and kilowatt hours, so hours. Okay. Example 2. What you need to know. So this is going to take 2 slides, all right? So I've got you here the 2 slides. So fridge freezer is rated to 200 watts. It stays on permanently. If a unit costs 12.5p, how much would it cost to leave it on for a year? So you need to work out the units used, but you also need to work out the hours in a day and a year, etc. So it's going to take 2 slides. So firstly, what you need to know: power is equal to 200 watts. So you know power is equal to 200 watts. You know the price. You know the time of a year. This needs to be done in hours. How would you do this? So I broke it down for you. 1 day is 24 hours. 24 hours times 365 days. Yes, leap year like we're in now is 366 days, but let's not worry about that for now. So let's keep it at that. So 8,760 hours. All right, that's your time that you need to know. Sounds like it's going to be an expensive bill. Let's have a look. So you now know the power is 200 watts, but it has to be in kilowatts, doesn't it? 200 watts is equal to 0.2 kilowatts. The price, 12.5p, hasn't changed, and now you know your time. I'm going to tell you to pause, okay? I'm going to say from there, can you now work out the cost? What do you think you need to do to work out the cost? Have a think on it. You're going to need to do 2 things. Pause now. Okay, first thing, hopefully you thought to yourself, is you needed to know the units of energy used. Okay, which is power times time, so you have to do 0.2 kilowatts times 8,760, which gave you 1,752 kilowatts of the energy used. Okay, you know the cost, so now you need to times those 2 together, which should give you 21,900 pence. I had to make sure I didn't say 2,000 there. 21,900 pence. Obviously, we don't really deal in pence in that way, which is £21.90. So to have your fridge freezer on for an entire year, it's going to cost you £21.90, which seems quite a lot, but remember that's a year. If you divided that by 12, you're only paying like a few pounds a month for your fridge freezer. But it certainly adds up, doesn't it? Right. if you are confident with that, if you are happy with that, you need to go back through the videos. At the back through the video, do so, because I'm going to now tell you this. Have a go yourselves. On Show My Homework, I've created a short quiz that will see what you have learnt. Complete it and submit it, and good luck. Don't forget to access the Show My Homework. You need to be your Show My Homework, not your parents'. All right. So make sure you do access your Show My Homework. The quizzes will be there because I will be checking to see who adds and submits this. Any questions, please ask. I also suggest use Bite Size to help you if you're not sure. And good luck with everything. You will get 2 new lessons next week, and let me know if there's anything I could do. Hopefully this all works this time, and good luck. Take care, guys. Bye.